Hello there and welcome back to another episode in the My Team career with Forza Jackson Racing. We've got a double header this week. We're going to Australia and to Italy. We've got a couple of engine part upgrades before the Australian Grand Prix. Jenson Button picking 6 points up and myself on 4. He's just 9-10 in the constructors. Jenson a great 7th place finish in that last race as we go over to Australia. So we have a quick look at qualifying and see what went down. So in Q1, unfortunately I was just edged out by Jenson, who managed to get through to Q2.
You can hear the Australian fans roaring as they line the track here in Albert Park. Welcome to Melbourne, and the roar from the crowd can only mean one thing. It's race day. Here we are then at the Albert Park circuit, 3.28 miles of bumpy city streets, but not a lot in the way of elevation changes. The circuit goes all the way around the lake, taking in 14 corners. Note the DRS zones into turns 1, 3 and 13. They'll offer our drivers a number of good opportunities to overtake. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Lando Norris will lead us away from pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Leclerc, Sainz, George Russell and Verstappen, Ricciardo, Fernando Alonso, Ocon and Guan Yu Zhou, Button, Vettel, Pierre Gasly and Bottas, Tsunoda, Stroll, Jackson and Alex Albon, Magnussen, Mick Schumacher, Latifi and Oscar Piastri.
So there we go, we're ready to start the race here. It's 15 laps of Australia and away we go. We start down in P17. There's Lance Stroll next to us. Keeps his position. Alex Albon's gone out the outside. Oh! That was not great there from the start, trying to get through a gap that just wasn't there. Lance Stroll takes advantage, gets past Yuki Tsunoda. We hold Alex Albon off. So Alex Albon's trying it down the left-hand side, tries to switch to go to the middle, then goes to the inside. Not getting past us there on lap 1. We've run a little bit wide there, takes some right curve, that'll unsettle the car. We chase Yuki Tsunoda down. And Alpha Tauri, did have a look at the inside then. Too early to be taking risks like that in the race. This new Albert Park track, a long sweeping straight. DRS opens up on this section in a couple of laps time. Alex Albon gets past us there. He's in the slipstream, and even though we was using a bit of our battery there, we could not hold him off. He just goes back to us as Kevin Magnussen goes to the overtake. Kevin Magnussen was taking penalties into this race. That's why that has started so far back.
Okay, the start was fine. Let's try and move forward.
But Alex Albon seems to be moving away from us. That pack already seems to be moving away from us. Alex Albon's a second out already. Lando Norris sets the fastest lap in P1. As we join back on lap 2 and Kevin Magnussen making easy work of that. We throw it down the inside though. Desperate not to lose positions there. We have P18th at the minute on lap 3. Tyre temperatures, look at that rear left temperature, 106. Optimal turning for our pit stop on lap 3. That's because our soft tyres had degraded, slipping about along the track, and that will have ruined our race, having to pit that early.
Okay, good work. Great pass.
Kevin Magnussen was a DNF, mechanical failure. And Nicholas Latifi tries to get past us. Do we leave enough room? Well, Nicholas Latifi actually leaves enough room there. That's good racing from him. Seeing the lunge coming. But unfortunately, it wasn't too much more to be said.
Congratulations,
and we actually finished behind Latifi.
And proving that they're a force to be reckoned with.
It wasn't a fantastic race. But let's move on to the next one already.
I was more impressed by Max Verstappen's solid, clean driving throughout the event.
It's time to see how things are.
So we move on from that then, that disappointing Australian race. We're going to Italy.
Has a question they'd like your input on.
So I've been asked who our rival will be. And let me tell you, it's not Lewis Hamilton or George Russell. I'm not too sure where the press have got that from or decline that rivalry.
The department later, you'll probably be asked by the media who you consider to be your rival.
We still have some upgrades coming to our car. We didn't pick up any points in that last race and we actually dropped down a place each in the driver standings. Jensen came 11th, was very unlucky.
Carefully who you select, as while you will receive a claim for beating them, you'll lose a claim
some
if you
points
fail
to
to do
spend
so.
on some more engine upgrades. Hopefully this just starts taking us and our car further up the potential. So we are desperate to start pulling some points in consecutively. As we go to Italy, and there's a sprint race weekend here. So another little bit of racing for us to do. As we prep for quali, and let's see how we got on in qualifying. Jensen came 8th, and it was abysmal from us in P21, well off the pace. 1.5 seconds off the leader.
So it's all about speed in today's sprint. Not very many laps and no chance to get ahead on strategy. Who here today has the raw skill to take them to the top? Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday and he'll start from pole position. And Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Leclerc, Ricciardo, Max Verstappen and Sainz, Fernando Alonso, Ocon, Button and Guan Yu Zhou, Bottas, Vettel, Pierre Gasly and Magnussen, Mick Schumacher, Tsunoda, Oscar Piastri and Lance Stroll, Latifi, Russell, Jackson and Alex Albon picks up the last spot on.
So a couple of highlights here just from the sprint race. See the opening corner. Took a lot of curb, actually gained a place off Lance Stroll there. But Lance wanted it back. Went hard on his brakes, locked his tyres up straight to the gravel. Lap 2 was sandwiched in between Albon and Latifi and Williams. Should we backed out of that? More than likely.
Okay, clear.
George Russell in that Mercedes powers past as he should.
Overtake button a bit more.
We're back down to P20. And it got even worse as Alex Albon did manage to get an overtake done on us, but with our DRS and DRS advantage, we went past him. Alex Albon wasn't one for backing out there.
Who moves further ahead at the top of the table. It's time to check out the constructors' standings. McLaren continue to increase their gap at the top. Welcome once again to the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo e Dino Ferrari. The clue's in the name. This is very much Ferrari home turf, and the locals will be out in force today to support their team in what we hope will be a magnificent spectacle of motorsport. On then to the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. One lap of Imola, anti-clockwise of course, unlike most Formula One circuits, will take our drivers around 3.1 miles of track. 19 turns, 9 right-handers and 10 to the left. Drivers will need to be precise at the hairpin at turn 7, given the subsequent uphill section. Without a good exit from that corner, they'll lose a lot of time on that stretch. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Leclerc, Verstappen, Fernando Alonso and Ricciardo, Ocon, Button, Bottas and Guan Yu Zhou. Gasly, Magnussen, Oscar Piastri and Mick Schumacher. Sainz, Stroll, Jackson and Alex Albon. Latifi, Vettel, Tsunoda, they've taken a grid penalty, and George Russell and Anthony.
So here we go then, it's 16 laps around Italy. Soft onto the mediums as we finish our formation lap here and get an optimal start in our box. As we get then famous 5 lights and away we go. It was held for a long time then. Starting P17, Lance Stroll in front of us, Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari in front of us as well. Engine penalties for him. Alex Albon with a storming start there. We just catch a bit of the grass there. And again, desperate to try and overtake Carlos Sainz, who got himself behind that bit of traffic there. We gained a couple of places. So did Alex Albon. Lance Stroll, the loser out of all this, is Carlos Sainz. Well, he will go past, but he's boxed himself in a very narrow position down the track and he doesn't manage to get the overtake done. He's also on the medium tyre. Interesting from the Ferrari there, must be wanting to go long. Lance Stroll keeps his position on us as we try to take him around the corner. Carlos Sainz gets back in front. We run massively wide there, getting that wrong. Did we warm our tyres up enough at the start? Doesn't look like it. Sebastian Vettel in the Aston Martin, now on our tail. As we go through this tricky right and left. Don't want to take too much of them yellow curves so you don't lose the time. Coming round the final couple of corners. Looks like we will go into lap 2 in P18 with Sebastian Vettel breathing down our necks. That gap just slowly starting to open up now to Carlos Sainz in P17. We see at the back there George Russell racing his old Williams teammate Nicholas Latifi. Big engine penalties for the Mercedes. On lap 2 we're going to try one down the inside. Oh my word, we run a little bit wide on the exit.
Great manoeuvre, you made it look so easy.
Carlos Sainz definitely left the door open for us there and we barged right through it. Unbelievable. On lap 4 we get past Lance Stroll and the Aston Martin, used our DRS and our electrical unit there. Lance Stroll, we left him some room there, he's had to back out of it. He'll live to fight another day instead of going into the gravel traps. Our battery well in use there for us to look at our tyre temperatures and tyre degradation as it goes down. The first round of pit stops on lap 6 being performed. Carlos Sainz getting interested again. But he can't do anything around them corners with the defending like that, making the car wide in the middle of the track. Carlos Sainz looks like he got a good line coming out of there then. He's just not able to... Oh, there was just a bit of braking going on there. Teasing each other. It's Carlos Sainz just sitting in the slipstream, but he's just not making the attempt to actually go past. Is he biding his time? And this is where we overtook Carlos Sainz into the right left. Really tight section of the track. Carlos Sainz isn't going to be trying that on us. We actually keep it in bounds. But look how close he is to us. Great battle going on. I mean, the Ferrari should over. I wonder if Carlos Sainz didn't take full engine penalties because he didn't start at the back of the grid like George Russell did. As we dive into the pits. Sainz will be happy about that as he goes onwards. We pull out a very quick pit stop here, hopefully. Oh, it's a 2.5 seconds. It is still optimal, but not as fast as you would like, to be honest. We come out the pits in front of George Russell still, behind Alexander Albon. He'll chase down the Williams now. On lap 11, P17, Albon managed to get past Sainz. Sainz pitted, we've come out behind. Sainz, so the overcut works for Ferrari, but we have come right in close, and that is because the leader of this pack, this small group at the back of the field, is just not going fast enough. But it's a DRS train, nobody can get past. Will we try a cheeky one on Carlos Sainz down the inside for a second point in the race? Looked like we thought about it. Unfortunately, it's offline as well, so we have to take too much of that curb just on the edge of the corner cutting. So it's an interesting move from Ferrari as we go down the inside here. What a great move that is. So we want to take Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari. I was just about to say that Carlos Sainz is on the hard tyre. It's a very interesting choice. He doesn't need to go long. I wonder if he burned some of his soft tyres up in qualifying for the race. Which seems a bit pointless considering he took engine penalties as well. So interesting strategy call from the Ferrari. As Carlos Sainz temporarily gets back in front of us down that straight, but in the corners we are so much faster on that medium tyre. George Russell now putting some pressure on Carlos Sainz. A torrid race for the Ferrari. His teammate in P1, Charles Leclerc, and dominating P1 at that, as Alexander Albon is our next target. And look at that, we throw it. We absolutely throw it into the right-hander. And that's how we gain the place from Williams, from Alexander Albon. On lap 15, we have P15. Mick Schumacher up next. Oscar Piastri, the ex-teammate of us. Who is it that's holding everybody up here? As Mick Schumacher looks to go round Oscar Piastri, that's going to cause it. Oh, his back end just went out then. We've gained some time on that. Mick Schumacher went for his back end, slipped out. We're going to try it down the inside. Mick doesn't give us enough room, it looks like. We'll get round him. And then good defending on the exit to close the gap. Nicely done, up into P14.
They take the checkered flag then here in Imola in what has been another outstanding Grand Prix. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today? Well, they are a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today and a stunning win for Ferrari. Have a look then at the driver's standings. It's a good result for Lando Norris, who moves further ahead at the top of the table. Now, let's discuss, Ant. Who would you say is a contender for driver of the day?
Charles Leclerc showed